Now that we have a brief understanding of what intellectual property is, it is important to secure your intellectual property to move ahead with your business. After the enlightening session on how to create an intellectual asset and all about patents, we would like to welcome our speaker, Sia Lala, for our last session of this journey on trademark and copyright.
The founder and managing partner at VAL and Associates, Sia is a qualified company secretary from the ICSI, law graduate and postgraduate diploma in business management, has done is a law graduate and a post diploma in business management from Mumbai University. She's a corporate and commercial lawyer, also the founder of VAL and Associates. Ma'am, we heartily welcome you to the event and kindly request you to address the audience now. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, everyone. And it's indeed a pleasure to come here to speak to each one of you. And thank you so much, Abhishek. It was wonderful hearing you. While you stated that it's that you bored hearing yourself, but trust me, Abhishek, it was pleasure hearing you, and I'm more than happy to have you here. Abhishek, as you all know, is also a trademark and a copyright attorney. Abhishek, please feel free to provide your insights in terms of what your views are. And I'm more than happy to collaborate and work, have this session with you. So yes,
thank you so much. That's really gracious of you.
Yeah. Please feel free, because I think at the end of the day, we're all, we're all professional, and as much as value add that we can really give to the audience is what we are really looking at. So please feel free to give your suggestion, guys. Abhishek himself is also a trademark and a copyright attorney, a very experienced professional. So please feel free to have us both, for this session. So yes, with that, I'll start my session. Can you go to the next slide? Am I supposed to present here, or are you guys going to be presenting the?
I know it would be better that you present it. Just click the share screen there.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah. Okay. So let's quickly start. So in terms of our understanding today, after what you've understood from Abhishek in terms of what patents are, see, when we talk about intellectual property rights in itself, it's a massive topic. It's a topic which has patents, it has trademark, it has copyright, it has got designs. Okay. So when we're talking about trademark, relatively, if you were to see, having understood patents, well, you'll understand that trademarks are relatively simpler in terms of understanding what they are. And even today's presentation, I've tried keeping it as simple as possible, because I really don't want you to get confused about this concept, because these are concepts, while I understand they're not as simple as we speak about it, but they're not as complicated. It's more of a logical, if you ask me. So let's start understanding what trademark is. So trademark, when you're talking about, it's typically a name, a word, a phrase, a logo, a symbol, a design to a certain extent, image, sound, or a combination of these elements. So now you will say that, okay, you've understood it has name to it. There are certain combination of words that we talk about. It phrase, sometimes it's the phrase that we talk about. So let's not get too much confused here. As we proceed in this presentation, we're going to see what it is, because by way of an example, you'll understand it better. Okay, so see, you need to understand that whenever you are talking about a trademark, this is a concept which can be registered. So if you have a trademark for yourself, it is something that you can actually go and register for yourself. And when I say registration, there is a formal application process that you will do when you want to apply for a trademark. Always understand that, you would have seen certain marks having these, having these symbols. Some symbols are like TM. sometimes you would have seen a word and then there is on the right hand side top, they write the word TN. Okay. Sometimes they use the word R, and you can see R is written in a way that, it's mentioned as R and then a circle to it. Now, what does it mean? That becomes very important because, it's important to understand what does these small marks mean there. Now, TM means it's a mark where an application has been done and it's still a work in progress. So typically you would see a trademark does take some time. So here as well, when you're talking about a TM, it's a mark where an application has been made and this is still unregistered as we speak. Now, whenever you see the symbol R with a circle around it, it means it's a mark where the application has been made. It has gone through the entire process of what it should take for a mark to be registered, and there is a registration which is obtained. And hence, when you see this term R or the alphabet R, it means that the mark is registered as we speak. Now, this is where I wanted you to understand what trademark is, and hence while we spoke about name, word, phrase, logo, symbol, design, this is how your trademarks will typically look. And this is a few of these common, see, you need to understand that every business works on a goodwill, okay? Today, when I talk about Amul so if I say, oh, I purchased an Amul ice cream or an Amul butter, there is a significant goodwill that Amul enjoys in the market. Now, when you are talking about goodwill, it is something which is achieved over a period of time. It's not something that one fine day a brand comes and it gets to the level where Amul is today. Now, this entire process that it takes for a brand to reach where it is, there are certain associations which are created with that. So when a brand is in its way or it's doing its journey, there are certain association with certain names, certain image, certain taglines. And these images, today when we talk about chocolate, a lot of time we are not talking about chocolate. We talk about Cadbury. So if I were to ask a child, you want a chocolate, what will there are a lot of times when we say, oh, you want Cadbury. So because now Cadbury we know is a brand, but it has kind of got it's got, in my mind, it's become similar to what I can call it as a chocolate. Similarly, when the brand is in its journey to reach where they want to reach, the associations which are created by certain marks, certain words have to be protected, because people start identifying the brand with these marks, with these words. And hence, it becomes very, very important that these marks or words have to be protected. And how are they protected? They are protected by way of a trademark. Now, similarly, if you look at LG, so the moment somebody shows you the mark, you'll know, okay, yeah, they're talking about LG. Similarly, for a Starbucks, okay? So why it becomes important to protect these marks? Because people start associating with these marks. People start, collating the quality, the service, and everything with these marks. And if you don't protect these marks, it becomes difficult, because then there are a lot of people who will go out and do some kind of, whatever they want to do in a way that they would want to grab those brands or want to grab those images with you. And hence, it becomes very, very important that whatever marks that you have in terms of your, in terms of the words that you're using, in terms of the design, the logo that you've done, and this is a perfect example of what you see. You see how Amul is there, and then how it's appearing in terms of the color combination and a lot of things. So that it becomes an identification that people start doing with the brand. Now, when we're talking about a trademark, the first thing that we need to understand is that, and whenever, so today if you come up to me and you say that, okay, listen, we have a mark. My first request will be that first, let's go, before you actually start using it in terms of branding and going around marketing that brand or whatever mark that you have in hand, the first thing that you need to do is first go and check if it's available or not. Okay. You need to understand that the IP office and MCA, they both have collaborated. So the moment you search a brand they are going to also perform a search. In fact, now, because we do the company incorporations as well, the moment you put a name and the moment you run a search, it will, so if there is a trademark which is registered in that name, you will see that the both offices have collaborated, which means that if there is a company by that name also, you will not get a trademark. Okay, so before you actually finalize a mark, or before you actually start putting any efforts in using that mark, please remember that you go and do a basic search, a public search, to see if there is a mark which is existing or not. And if at all, if there is a mark, then obviously you know that you're not supposed to use it. So public search is first thing that I always advise, that do that before you actually start investing any time in doing anything on that mark. So I've actually given you a link where you can actually go and perform a public search for a trademark, and this helps because then this tells you whether you should go ahead or you should just look for another mark. Okay, now you need to understand that there are different types of marks. There is a product mark, a service mark, collective marks, certification mark, and a shape mark. I'm not going to get into this at this stage because with each, for each mark, there is an example that we are going to be talking about, and let's just talk about it with the example. A product mark. A product mark is similar to a trademark. The only difference is that it refers to trademark related to product or goods and not services. So you need to understand product mark means a mark which has got, again, you need to understand that the gist of trademark is certain association with a brand that it is connected with. But within trademark, there are different types that you'll have. Product mark, association is with the product. So when we're talking about product, we're definitely not talking about the service per se. Service mark is what is a perfect example is Google. Now, what is Google doing? It's giving us services, right? So service mark is same as trademark, but instead of a particular product, it identifies and differentiates the source of a service. Okay. Collective marks. Now, collective marks means a mark which comes under an umbrella, which is like, Tata Sons. What are they doing? There's multiple services and products that they are that they're doing. So similarly, when you talk about Reliance. So when you are talking about collective mark, it's one mark that we have towards the top. So these are trademark used by a group of companies and can be protected by the group collectively. And this is very, very common in a big setup, in a group that they have, because they want to ensure that, for everything, they don't have to go for multiple trademark application. Rather, they do a group or rather a collective mark, which is protected. And when we say something like Tata Sons, we know it's a massive group that we have. Certification mark, as the name would suggest, this is basically a mark that gives you about, or is talking about, the quality of goods and services. Okay, so it's a sign indicating that goods and services are certified by the owner. And you need to understand one thing here, that these are marks which are basically subject to a certain certain certification, like, or certain due diligence. So whoever is using these marks or is assigning these marks to a certain product will do a certain due diligence. It's not just by mere fact that, if there is a mark that we have, that it means a quality check has been done prior, before such marks have been assigned to a product, because then there is a different authority who check the quality and all of that for a particular product. So it's a sign indicating that the goods or services are certified by the owner of the sign, so in terms of its origin, material, quality, accuracy, or other characteristics. Now, shape marks. Okay. Now, you need to understand that shape marks are something when you are talking about protecting a particular shape. Okay. So a trademark may also include the shape of the goods, that is their packaging sometimes, so long as it's possible to graphically represent the shape clearly. Okay. Now you need to understand that, see, I've put this example here where we're talking about a Coke bottle in a certain way, or a Kit Kat chocolate that we do. So these are shape marks. Or you see these certain vehicles that we have. Again, we need to understand that there is a slight distinction between protecting a certain design and putting it under the category of it being a design, or it being a shape mark. Okay. So again, as I said, that to certain extent, yes, we can also we can protect our products for their shape that we have in hand. Now, patents, I don't, patents, Abhishek has spoken much in details in terms of how and why patents are significantly different than what you talk about trademark, as we know, right? So patent is something which is only and only applicable for things which are absolutely new. So if you ask me that, okay, listen, I want to patent this bottle, can I do that? No, because bottle or something which is like a container which has water in it is a concept which is already existing. A different shape to it, yes, I can do it by shape mark. I can protect the shape. But can I say that I will, with my kind of bottle, nobody can have another bottle created? Well, they can have it in a different shape, because as I said, right, patent is something which is absolutely new, something which was not existing prior, right? When the pen as a concept came in, they were subject to patent because that was a new concept then. But today there are different types of pens that we have in market, right? So you can protect these different types of pens that you have, that somebody cannot copy the shape that you've given it. But can somebody not produce another pen in a different form or a different shape? They can, right? Because then it's no longer a subject matter of patent there. Okay, so let's see what these patent marks are. These are marks consisting of a patent which is capable of identifying the goods or services as originating from a particular undertaking and thus distinguishing it from the other undertaking. So patent, as I said, Abhishek has spoken in detail, so let's not get into there. Now, sound marks. While I couldn't put a clip, but sound marks. Have you seen this Dharma production films? You know, there is this particular music that's played when a Dharma production film. So, be it any Dharma production film, you hear that music. It's a music that runs, I believe, for a minute or something. So that is a sound mark, something which is identified with Dharma production. So the sound that plays in the advertisement becomes so well known that when people hear it, they immediately know what product or service it refers to. In such cases, the sound may be registered as a trademark and is eligible for registration. So sound mark is something, again, as I said, right, any kind of association that is developed with product or service, it is, the businesses are encouraged to protect that association. Now that could be a mark, a design, a logo, a sound, or something that they're seeing in terms of how that shape of the product is. All of that has to be protected because, as I said, people develop that kind of correlation, or people develop that kind of thought process with these things. Now, registration of a trademark, as we speak, as I said, the first thing that you need to do is to actually go and do a public search. Once you are satisfied with the public search that yes, there is a mark which is existing, you go and you then make an application. The moment you make an application for a trademark, you enjoy the protection of putting TM, which means it's an unregistered mark. It's a mark which tells other people that this is a work in progress, and that, if everything goes fine, this is a mark that will belong to the person who's actually made the application. Okay. Now, time required for registration, if you ask me, this is something which is generally a time-driven process. And obviously with COVID, we've experienced that, the hearing dates and all of that has taken a lot of time. So yes, it is something which is time-driven. Because why is it time-driven? Because it is open for inspection. It's actually open for other people's to raise objections. If there is an objection, then there is a process that has to be followed. Then there are hearings that are given in terms of making your representation. And only after all of that will you get your mark. Okay, a registered symbol, we know it's something which is indicated with alphabet R, and this actually means that the symbol is registered. Okay, validation, once registered, a trademark will be valid for a period of 10 years from the date of filing, which obviously can be renewed, and obviously you will get an option to get that mark provided you have ensured that the timely renewals have been performed. So if you miss out on a renewal and then, somebody in between comes and is obtaining that mark, obviously you will not get the right. So as far as renewal is concerned, it's very important that you get the renewal done in the time frame that's been so decided. Now, list of well-known trademarks that we know, and we've just put the names also. Again, just for you to know what it possibly can look like. When you're talking about 7 o'clock, which is for the shaving razor, there is a proprietor that we have there. Then there is Bajaj, which is the word mark here, which is owned by Bajaj Electrical Limited. Then Bisleri is another one. Dr. Reddy's, which is for the Reddy's Laboratories, and Honda obviously is something which belongs to Honda Motors. Okay, so as I said, right, that there are these well-known marks that we have here, and this is more from your understanding that you know that these marks are something which are now. Can I just go and get myself a word like Bisleri? Can I do that? No, I cannot, because it's already it's already with someone. So this is something that you need to understand, that for a mark which is already registered, we will not be able to get them. Now, the one very important thing that a lot of people miss out is that you need to understand that trademark is your class specific. So when I say class specific, there is something called as NICE classification, which basically talks about the various classifications that we have as far as trademark is concerned. Now, suppose I have registered a mark, say in class 35. Okay. Now you want to register that mark, and you want to register it in class 35. Can you do it? No, you can't do it, because I have taken protection of that particular mark in that particular class. Okay, but suppose I want to register a mark but in some other class, but you need to understand that each class has a bifurcation. So suppose if it's a service class, then it has to go only in that mark, okay, or in that particular category. So you need to understand one thing, that your protection will be ensured that it's done, provided you get a proper classification done here. And I'm sure Abhishek will agree in this point that a lot of people are confused here. Like, a lot of people come to me and they say that, no, let's just do it in some other class. And I tell them that each class has a significance to the service or the product that you have. There is absolutely, it absolutely makes no sense, if you ask me, that if you were to do a service and then you go and register yourself in a manufacturing class. So getting the right class for the service or the product which is associated with that mark becomes very, very important. Okay. And remember
totally agree. You asked whether I agree. So I totally agree with that. And in fact, there have been some instances where, because of the wrong class in the code, they could not get the other party to stop, because they had not taken proper class into picture. So that's very valid point that you brought up.
Yeah, and here this is where we as professionals come in to help, because a lot of time people feel that they can just go and decide the category for themselves. And this is where I always tell people that just read each category and just see where your product or service falls, or where you are closest to in terms of your products and services. So accordingly, the category or the class can be picked up, and that becomes very, very significant here. So procedure, I think we've spoken about it in terms of what it is. It's about doing the initial search here. Once you're satisfied with the search, then decide whether you'll do the mark. Once that trademark, once you decided for yourself that yes, this is the mark that I want, then go to NICE classification. NICE classification is basically a document which provides you all the bifurcation in terms of the 45 classes that we have. That NICE classification is going to tell you which class you have to apply. Now here you need to remember that as many classes as you protect will, that's a beautiful thing. But remember one thing, that each class has a fees to it. So suppose if you were to make an application in say 2 classes, okay, I'm giving you by way of an example, say class 8 and class 35, then you will have to pay government fees, or the fees which is paid with the trademark office for 2 classes. Okay, now you need to remember one thing, that if you are an individual, there is a different set of fees that you're payable. If you're making an application in the name of a corporate, there is a different set of government fees that's payable. But if you are a corporate, and if you have managed to get a startup recognized, if you are a startup recognized under DIPP, you get an exemption of 50%. So if you are a so suppose like currently the fees for a company to make a mark for one particular class is 9,000. But if you are a company, either you are a startup or you are a MSME registered, both, you get 50% off on the government fees, and that automatically makes your cost, the government filing cost, half. And I'll give you an example. I had this corporate who came to me and they wanted to make 8 trademarks, 8. They came to me and they said, this is where it is, and obviously the from a 8 trademark, the cost of 9,000 per mark is what it was coming. So 8 into 9, and that was my advice to them, that they were startup. So I said, why don't you just apply for a DIPP, get yourself registered. Once you have that, automatically your government fees goes down by 50%, and that is something that you will save on from not paying an additional government fee. So remember that if you are a startup or if you are an MSME registered, you will have to file those certificates and you get half the government fees. From a payment of fees is concerned, you get 50% discount on that. So that's something which you need to be mindful about. Okay, then examination, and as I said, right, that the marks are open for examination. People who have objections can raise objections. You will receive objection notices. Then there will be, you'll have to attend to those objections, and then there'll be hearing dates as well, and you'll have to attend to those hearing dates. And when I say you'll have to attend, which means your attorney will go and make a representation before the relevant offices. Obviously, now all with the entire COVID ongoing, the hearings are happening, through the online mode. And yes, it is taking slightly more time as it would take otherwise, because now the hearing dates are coming very, they're taking a lot of time, because obviously there's a massive reach, and then obviously they're not completely operating. It's just few inspectors or few people who are sitting in their offices who are taking the hearing. Trademark publication, and then trademark registration. So if there's no opposition which is received, then the trademark is registered. Now, as far as filing is concerned, there are certain things that you need to be mindful about. You need to first decide whether you need to have mark in your name or you want to have it in the name of a company. Remember, this becomes very, very important, because then that's the name that you will put as far as the applicant name is concerned. Address is going to be either your residential address, or if you are putting the company's name, then you can use the registered office address here. Then there are certain, sales figure on the letterhead. Now, see, sales figure on the letterhead and all of that is when you want to say that your mark is existing. So suppose if there is a scenario where you've been using mark for last 2 years, and so which is called as, there is an existing user advantage. So you need to make an affidavit. If you are using a mark and that mark has been used for say last 2 years, and you want to tell the authority that you've been using the mark, obviously that gives them a more, that gives you an advantage that you will get the mark in your name, provided you establish this, provided you establish this to the authority on an affidavit that you've been using the mark for XYZ number of years, and hence you should get this mark. So whenever you're talking about these affidavits, you need to remember these affidavits have to be placed in a way where you can establish, in terms of giving a sales figure, your invoice and all of that, to tell them that you've been using the mark for a long time now. Term trademark, the term of protection. So you need to understand that as far as the trademark is concerned, you get a direct protection for a period of 10 years, and thereafter you are subject to renewal. If you happen to renew it, well and good. As I said, your timely renewal becomes very, very important here. So with that, I have spoken about trademarks, and Abhishek, if you wish to add anything to this, please feel free to do that, and thereafter we can take questions.
I think you've quite covered extensively, Sia. So, and then some very insightful points you gave about the class. And I think that would be very useful for the users. So I think everybody can sort of take that cue from Sia, that identifying the relevant classes is quite critical, and that will have a big impact. So thank you for sharing that and putting emphasis on that, Sia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So with that, we can open up for Q&A. Anybody, any question?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask you, can this process be handled by a startup themselves, or you need to appoint an attorney or a professional agency for that?
You will need a trademark attorney. You cannot make an application without a trademark attorney here.
Sure. Thank you.
Because the moment you apply, they'll ask you for a trademark attorney name or a number. A registration number is what they specifically look at.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Anyone, any other question?
Ma'am, we have a question in the chat box from Suvarna. She's asking how long does it take to get the trademark?
See, we've generally, Suvarna, it's very difficult, honestly, to tell you the timeline, but it takes time. Now, you know, with COVID, I have seen a time where it's actually taken, you know, close to a year's time. Because as I said, right, the trademark offices are not operating in full capacity. The hearing dates that we would otherwise get it in a month's time are now taking like 3 months time. So this is generally a time process, a time driven process. And I would think that this should take somewhere like, you know, at least a year is what I would think. At least that's with my experience that we've seen that it's going that long. Any other question that we have in the chat box? I am not able to see the chat box in this. Yeah. Yeah.
If any attendees have any questions, they can either add it in the chat box or unmute themselves.
Garima, what will you do? The question, many questions will come because everybody wants to go for patent and trademark.
Yes.
Many questions will come in YouTube channel also. We'll club all those questions. We'll try to answer and we'll take the consent of the speakers and we'll communicate to the speaker, the participants later on. So you can conclude the session.
Okay, sir.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The attendees have immensely benefited from your presentation. Siddharth, can you please present the slides? We express our heartfelt gratitude to Sia Lara for her valuable time and insightful presence in the IEEE Entrepreneurship Bootcamp.